Churyumov-Gerasimenko. Churyumov-Gerasimenko.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bell.
We have mangled that name so many times, we thought we ought to at least once on this show get it right.
As we said, 67 people.
Yeah. So it made a visit to Los Angeles, as you can see, and David and I got a close-up visit with it. And here is it actually to scale. If it were to visit Los Angeles, that is photoshopped, thankfully. But yeah, so it is not a, but it's pretty small when you consider compared to a planet.
Oh, sure.
Big compared to Los Angeles. These are some pictures as they were approaching.
This is actually the most recent image, at least that we have here tonight. Some just came down today, but basically it shows that there's more and more gas coming out of it as it approaches its August encounter with the sun.
This is what was supposed to happen. We saw it in that other, so in fact I might skip over this as well. It's just an animation from ESA showing what it was supposed to look like. But you can see the little spidery guy disappearing down there, a little Philae. And in fact, that is kind of what we saw. These are actual images taken from Rosetta of Philae disappearing down toward the comet. And there it is, just the tiny little dot as it approached the comet. This is a picture taken from Philae back up toward Rosetta. You can see the spacecraft, there's a solar panel, and here's the mama ship. And then, so it's also, anthropomorphized now. So then little Philae turned around and took a picture of where he was going, and or she, or whatever, it. And you can see one of its own little legs. And there they are being anxious before it happened, and very happily we got a signal, and yay, the thing landed. This is what they thought was supposed to happen, that it would land, that little harpoons would come out of these lander legs. There's a little jet up here that's kind of keeps it down on the surface while the little harpoons went in, because the gravity is so low. The weight of the lander on the comet, if you had a bathroom scale, is less than an ounce. So the gravity is so light.
On Earth, it's a couple hundred pounds?
Yeah,
That's
a couple hundred pounds, and there it's an ounce. So this is where they thought it landed. So Tony, do you want to say?
These are actually views from Rosetta of Philae approaching the comet, where it hit, and then it caught another image of it after it supposedly landed at this spot. So then they realized that it actually didn't harpoon itself to the surface. It bounced up again. And later on they'd admit, well, it actually landed at least 3 times. And just today there's an announcement, or actually it was about a day or 2 ago, that analyzing how it turned as it fell, it actually probably grazed a crater, and it changed its spin rate before it finally came to rest. It looks like against a crater wall.
So there it is. So that was actually what happened. It is against, and to answer your question, Doug, it is against this crater wall. It was in a shadow. But actually, I'll come to that in a minute. Tony, why don't you say what these images are?
Okay, well, there are several cameras on Philae that were designed to give us a panoramic view of the surface. And we were expecting to see kind of a circular horizon, kind of like you'd get a fisheye view or something when it was stitched together like this. But instead we got something that's actually very hard to make out what you're seeing. You can obviously see a lot of rocky detail, but it looks dark up here. And it turns out there's kind of a reason for that. So
if you were able to see it from above, that's what that would look like. That is a superposition. That's the data we have, but this just says what it would look like if we could get on top of it and see.
Yeah,
and there are some gaps in this image where the cameras can't see. It was designed to rotate and then take another set of images that would fill in between the petals of the flower that you're seeing. And we don't have all that data yet, so you're only seeing partial, but what happened?
Yeah, well, it looks like it actually ended up on its side with one leg sticking up, and so it had probes on it that were supposed to sample the surface looking down, and they're not looking down, so some of those didn't work. The drill couldn't drill into the surface.
So everything that we're saying makes it sound like, oh, no, this is a resounding success, because there's nothing like this has ever been done. It took 9 years to get there, to match the velocity so we could drop. There was no engine on Philae. It just dropped onto the comet, and return data.
Yeah.
This is one more of those. Did you want to?
That's right. Well, it is solar powered too, but it actually ended up mostly shadowed. So there's kind of a desperate race in the last few hours that it had battery power to, first of all, get whatever data it did gather on the surface, and to try moving its legs. They are articulated, to maybe shift it a bit so it could get some more sunlight. And that actually was successful. It was very dramatic, and the data didn't come in until the very last moments that its battery was still operating. But it did send all of its data that it had on its initial measurements.
And it did sniff the atmosphere, kind of like with a wine glass. Anyway, and found organic carbon compounds, which, just to get right back to the sort of why are we bothering with all this, comets are kind of leftover chunks, I guess chunks will be one of tonight's themes, leftover chunks of the primordial solar system, what the solar system was made of as it was forming. Now on Earth, 4.5 billion years later, our planet has evolved, and we've got continents and oceans and people and all kinds of stuff. But the original stuff out of which it was made, with all these chunks of stuff that came together, pulled together by gravity. So comets are leftover chunks of what you and I are made out of. And so to find these carbon compounds and see that that was there in the original composition of the stuff that makes up the solar system is a really exciting result. And
Did
so
you drill into the rock at all?
they did do a
Well,
little.
the drill went out, but because of how it's oriented, it couldn't contact the surface.
Okay.
This is what they think now.
Yeah, because I know they deployed it because they, as Tony was saying, they only had like, okay, we're in shadow, we've only got so much time. So they kind of said, to heck with it. I'm overstating this, but let's just go for the most important stuff. Instead of, well, there's this and then this and then this. So like, no, so try the drill, get the drill.
Yeah, they tried the drill. They also had a probe that they would hammer in, a little like a jackhammer, that was supposed to measure temperatures, and it went through a layer of dust that was a handful of inches thick, and then it hit something very hard, and they think it was solid ice. So there's rock hard ice. It's so cold that ice is as hard as rock just under the dusty surface, which was interesting. They thought it might be sort of snowy, like packed snow. They weren't sure. So you've never been to a comet before, it's all new.
Yeah.
So that primary mission was fulfilled.
Yeah, so in that way, this was a huge success, just a
We
massive
didn't really
success.
tell anybody that.
And then, I agree, it just dropped off the radar. I guess.
Except that Kim Kardashian chose the wrong day to try to break the internet, because she chose the same day that Philae was broadcasting its results, and more people, I think, tuned into Philae.
Yay! That is a good one. So, as Tony said, the other part of the dream that he had may be true, that he actually kind of encountered a crater wall, which may have led to what we saw. So our poor little Philae, who was all excited about his trip and packed his lunch, has now gone to sleep because he ran out of lunch.
Of course, seasons will change on the comet, and maybe in March it could reawaken.
So he could come back. The idea is that as it comes, as the comet carries the spacecraft closer to the sun and changes its orientation, that maybe the solar panels will be re-illuminated, and this is in March, you're saying?
Yes.
And so it might come back to life. And if you've come to All Space Considered before, you know that then it would probably be a little zombie lander.
Aren't you glad you brought your kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry if we frightened anyone.